Back to the NutriMedical Report. We have Harley Schlanger all the way from Germany, from LaRouche Foundation, one of the chief speakers and wise men of LaRouche, trying to bring about trade, international prosperity, and a defensive Earth strategy. And as LaRouche said, increasing the energy flux density with the a human race acting as a, you want to call, agent of good, not only in our local Earth, but as we spread across the cosmos and the galaxy and the solar system, improving the life of not only humans but every other living thing, and reducing the danger of war and other things by trade, advanced technology, and compassion. And a lot of the ideas that LaRouche had got himself in a lot of trouble with the powers that be to want to do things that are for what I call evil globalism, rather than improving manufacturing. You're going back to principles discovered in early America, like the Hamiltonian credit system, the Bretton Woods system, which we want to refer to, the Four Powers Agreement we talked about last week. Harley, you got lots to talk about. The latest, of course, is the demon rats have decided to proceed with this Star Chamber thing called impeachment. I guess they don't want to just kind of try to see if they can win an election with actual principles. They want to win not only the past election, but the future one, which they won the midterms in the House by containing Russiagate. And turns out Mueller didn't even remember specific details because his name was on the report, but he didn't remember it because he was just if you want to call it like a cover name for the whole report. What we have right now is, I think this is going to blow up in the face of the demon rats. And we'll find it's not just Republicans, by the way. There's some decent ones like Delcy Gabbard, who's a decent lady who happens to be a Democrat from Hawaii, and she's getting great persecution for being reasonable and common sense. There's a lot of common sense within the LaRouche Foundation that if it's heeded, we can, evangelize good business, good human rights, and a defensive Earth strategy against things that could harm our planet. Like we just had over Halloween Eve a high-speed asteroid that passed at literally less than 4,000 miles above the Earth that we didn't have any clue about until it zipped right past us. We need to start being ready for defensive Earth from coronal mass ejections, galactic and solar weather, and near-passing objects. And we need to also be weather for Earth changes such as a pole shift or anything else that could be cataclysmic to the planet. And that means a collaboration of all our scientists, doctors, politicians, and people that can do something about it before we have a disaster. And also bring about things to improve life, like we should be able to, if we have a trade deal with China, bring over thousands of their engineers to help our engineers and build high-speed rails so you can travel along the west coast or across the Midwest or the northern plains at 300-plus miles an hour on high-speed rail rather than having to get on a plane. I think that the future is very bright if we decide to follow a lot of the principles of the LaRouche Foundation, which, of course, got LaRouche into prison, and we're trying to get him exonerated now after his death. What's the latest news in terms of the impeachment, Ukraine, all the other foolishness going on that's trying to block the idea of reasonable principles to bring our worlds and our nations together, like in a four-power agreement that we talked about last week?
Well, it should be noted that Representative Al Green, who's a Democrat from Houston,
it makes me. I'm nauseated right now. You mentioned his name, Al Green. Ugh.
Yeah, when he introduced the first impeachment resolution,
right,
he said, "If we don't impeach him, Trump will win again." And I think that's a statement which many, many Democrats believe, which is why they're going with this crazy impeachment. But there's some new information that's come out that I want to share with your listeners.
Right.
That was put into an article by a fairly responsible and serious and consistently reliable investigative journalist named Paul Sperry.
Right.
Paul wrote an article in which he divulged the name of the person that many believe is the so-called whistleblower. And what's interesting about the so-called whistleblower...
Actually, we went over that, by the way, yesterday. We actually reviewed that yesterday with our researcher, Gary Richard Arnold. We actually mentioned exquisite detail. We have his full name and all the details about him.
Well, let me give some of the material that you may not have had, which is that this is someone who was a CIA agent.
Yes.
Who was assigned by Brennan to work in National Security Agency under Susan Rice.
Right.
Susan Rice was one of the people who coordinated with Brennan and with the John Kerry Hillary leftovers in the State Department the coup in Ukraine in 2014. This guy was also very close to a woman named Alexandra Chalupa.
Right.
Chalupa is someone who worked in the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, opposition research to dig up dirt on Trump during the 2016 campaign. Chalupa is a Ukrainian American who went to the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C., as well as contacting the Ukrainian government to get as much dirt as she could on Trump and also on Manafort. Now, this is who the guy worked with, this so-called whistleblower, who then was reassigned during the Trump period for a period of time he stayed with the NSA for a while, then he went back to the CIA.
Right.
He's obviously a Brennan operative.
Yeah, let me mention his name because we went over this in exquisite detail. We posted a lot of information. His name is Eric Sierra Mella. Please continue.
Yeah, that's right. Now, he is the one who violated the rules of whistleblowing by going to a congressional source, namely Adam Schiff's office, rather than to the NSA Inspector General.
Right.
It was Schiff's office.
In other words, Adam. Oh, you must have made a mistake. The last two letters of Adam's name are not FF; it's TT. Please continue.
He went to the office there, and they helped him write the whistleblower complaint, which was then used to start the whole operation against Trump on Ukraine, the so-called Ukraine Gate.
This sounds like the thing with the British and this report that started this kind of dossier. Please continue.
Well, here's the important thing about it. The timing was auspicious because it occurred when two things were occurring, two processes.
Right.
One, Trump, having survived Mueller and Russiagate, was now moving in cooperation with Putin to crush the remnants of the Obama-supported terrorists in Syria. And this showed that Trump
Which, by the way, included also work with some rhino Republicans like John McInsane and this guy, Baghdadi. And I have an expose on Baghdadi that's pretty nasty because this is a totally manufactured thing. And this whole thing was a play act, okay? And I've got information I posted up today on today's show that's from the one of the briefings that I totally agree with because it fits with my intelligence. And the guy I interviewed is an intel agent from Iraq who was over there, Frank Gregory Ford, who I had in the show on Wednesday, and he'll be on next week. So I totally agree with you. Please continue.
Well, and here's the point. The first thing is that Trump has demonstrated